Hey there, I am Michiel Mulders, developer advocate at Hedera. I'll help you navigate the consensus service and show you its power. But before we start, let me introduce this service. With the Hedera Consensus Service, you can develop applications like stock markets, audit logs, stablecoins, or even new network services that require high throughput and decentralized trust. The consensus service is unique because it uses the underlying Hashgraph consensus algorithm to provide quick finality for messages submitted to the service. The service is especially useful because it provides fair ordering of events and tracking the history of these messages. The service provides a maximum throughput of 10,000 transactions per second, which is impressive. You might wonder how the consensus service is able to reach such a high throughput. Well, storage requirements are offloaded to mirror nodes. These are a special type of nodes that are only used to store and query historical data from the public ledger to minimize the use of Hedera network resources. So all messages you submit to the consensus service are stored by mirror nodes and can be accessed only using API requests. If you want to validate if a specific event happened, you can query the mirror node to pull up this data and verify the authenticity of the event. This is an important feature for many use cases involving asset provenance. Furthermore, you can expect 3 to 5 second finality for messages submitted to the service. We believe it's an important feature for building fast and scalable applications using decentralized trust. Are you excited to start building with a consensus service? Let's get coding! Hi, so let's get started with coding. First, let's look at the setup of our file. Make sure you've already completed the Getting Started section so you know how to create the client object and how to import all functions from the Hedera SDK. So as you can see in our code, I'm requiring the .m file to load our operator ID and operator private key. I am importing a couple of functions like the account ID, the private key, and the client object itself. And using these functions, I am creating the client object and I'm using it for the testnet. So now let's continue with the Hedera Consensus tutorial. The first thing we need to do is to create a topic. A topic will provide us with an address and then we can submit messages to this specific address. So to create a topic, we will use the topic create transaction. First thing we have to do is import this. You can already see topic create transaction. And then we will write the code. So let's sketch the response of the create transaction. Let's create a new transaction. And then we have to execute it with the client object. We don't have to set any other properties because we want to create a public topic to which anyone can send a message. So the next step is to grab the return topic ID from this response. So let's call this variable received. Let's await for the transaction response. It's like similar to all kinds of transactions. We pass in the transaction object, the client object, and then we can read the topic ID from our received. So let's assign to a separate variable received topic ID. So now we have the topic ID. Next, let's log our topic ID to the console. And then as you can see, we are waiting 5 seconds for the topic create transaction to reach consensus. We are doing this because we're creating the topic, subscribing to the topic, and sending a message to the topic within one file. When you're working on a real use case, you will create the topic beforehand and you won't have to wait for the service to reach consensus because other services will be submitting messages to your topic. So next, let's subscribe to our topic. We can do this using the topic message query function. Don't forget to import the function from the SDK. And firstly, we have to set the topic ID. Let's set it equal to our topic ID. And then the subscribe method is a callback function that accepts the client object and returns messages. So each message object contains multiple properties, for instance, a sequence number, contents of the message, and the consensus timestamp. First, let's convert the contents of our message to human readable format. Let's call this variable message as string, and let's use the buffer function to convert our message.contents to the UTF-8 format. And let's call the toString method on it. And next, let's print all these details to the console. First, I want to print the consensus timestamp. So if you use a message object, you will see consensus timestamp. And let's convert it to a date. Next, let's log the sequence number. It's message.sequence number. And finally, let's print the message content. So we can just say message as string. There we go. Then the next step is to submit a message to our topic. So first, let's catch the response. So we can, in the next step, get a receipt. Let's call await new topic message submit transaction. Again, make sure to import this function. And this function is accepting an object. The first parameter of this object should be the topic ID. And let's set it equal to our topic ID. And then the second parameter is the message you want to submit. So let's submit the following message, hello HCS. There we go. And don't forget to execute this function and pass in the client object. In the next step, let's get the receipt. Let's await our send response and get the receipt by passing in the client object. And then lastly, let's print the receipt. I will assign the receipt to a separate variable. And let's get the status variable. And then next, console log status. And we can do transaction status and call toString function, because the transaction status is usually a number, and when you call toString, it will print the word success or failure. Okay, so now we are ready to test our code. Let's open the terminal, and we can run node.index.js. First, it will create the topic. So the topic ID is the following. And then you will see that it prints the status success, and immediately afterwards it will print the message. So you can see it's coming from our callback function that's logging the contents. The first part of the message is the consensus timestamp, then it's logging the sequence number. Because this is the first message we have submitted to our topic, it received sequence number 1, and then it's our human readable message. And that's it. In this section, I want to show you how you can use a mirror node to query for topic information and to query all the messages that have been submitted to this service. So first, let's open the documentation so we can understand more about the topics endpoint. As you can see, the Hedera website is open, and let's go to the SDKs and API section and then click on REST API. If we now search for the word topics, you'll find the correct endpoint. And here you can see the first endpoint is topics / your topic ID and then / messages. This will return all the messages that have been submitted to your topic ID. If we expand this section, you can also see which parameters it accepts. And you can also see the returned details. So for example, we have used in our previous section the consensus timestamp. We have decoded the message, and we have also printed the sequence number to the terminal. So let's try this request. We are using the testnet mirror node, which can be found at testnet.mirrornode.hedera.com. So let me open up the example where I have already completed it with our topic ID that I have just created. And behind the scenes, I have submitted 2 more messages to the service. So in total, we have now 3 messages. And as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3 messages. The sequence number of the third message is 3, and the first one is 1. So as you can see, the message content is encrypted in the base64 format. So if you want to quickly see what the real message is, we can open up a tool called base64decode.org. Let's copy the contents here, and then let's paste it in. If we decode it to UTF-8, you will get our hello HCS message. So next, I want to show you how to use some of the query parameters. So if you go back to our documentation, you can see we can apply a limit, which limits the number of messages that are returned. We can change the order from ascending to descending, or we can request a specific sequence number. So let's request the sequence number 2. And this way you can actually retrieve a specific message, which is sometimes useful if you want more querying abilities for the endpoint. And further, we can also query by timestamp. So if you want to find a message for a specific timestamp, let's again use a timestamp for this message. Make sure to use a consensus timestamp. And we can use the query filter timestamp and give it our timestamp, and it will return the same message. So now there's actually something that's not mentioned in our reference documentation, but if we open up the OpenAPI specification for our mirror node, you will find the full details for our REST API. So first, let's look for our messages endpoint. You can search by topics, topic ID, messages, and you will find the get endpoint details. And as you can see, you can find, let me zoom in a bit, the limit query parameter, the order query parameter, and we are interested in the timestamp one, so the timestamp query parameter. So let's look for this one specifically, and let's add a colon so you can find it easily. And now, as you can see, there are many possibilities for the timestamp operator, like I want to find all messages that are equal to a specific timestamp or not equal, greater than a specific timestamp, greater than or equal. So the most basic filtering abilities are there. So let's try to find all messages that are greater than the first message consensus timestamp. So let's go back to our example. I want to pull up all our messages, and let's grab the consensus timestamp of the first message. And now we can say timestamp equals, and now we say greater than, and the consensus timestamp, and this should return 1 and 2 messages. And we see sequence number 3 and sequence number 2. So that's correct. So that's a handy little trick you can use to use advanced querying abilities within the mirror node to pull up data. Finally, I want to show you how you can subscribe to messages from a specific starting point, or limit the number of messages, or specify an end timestamp. So let's take a look at the code. Again, I have used our base template where we require the .env file, importing the functions we need, and creating the client object. I have also set the topic ID already to our topic ID, and I have assigned the consensus timestamp of message 2 to the variable. So next, let's write the code. Again, we need to write our topic message query, import the function, and then we set the topic ID equal to our topic ID. And next, we can set the set start time. So here we say it equals to the consensus timestamp message of message 2. And then we subscribe again, we pass in the client object, we accept our callback, and let's print the sequence number to the timeline to keep it simple. We can exit it from the message object, and let's print the sequence number. So what we can do as well here is set end time also to a timestamp. And we can also say, let's limit the messages to 10 messages, for example. This is our code, and this should print message 2 and 3 to the terminal. So let's open up our terminal. And let's run the example. I've called the file subscribe.js. It will subscribe to our topic, and as you can see, it will print message 2 and 3. So, what did we learn today? The first thing you need to do is create a topic. Once you have created a topic, you can submit messages to your topic. If you want to receive the messages for your topic, you can subscribe to it. You can do it using code, and you can specify a starting timestamp, a limit, and even an end timestamp. Furthermore, you can use the mirror node API to retrieve messages from your topic, and you can also use it to do some basic filtering where you want to retrieve messages greater than a specific timestamp or limit the number of messages you want to retrieve. And finally, if you want to play with the code, there is a QR code you can scan which will link you to a code sandbox. Have fun!